then there will be related teams that are in the Smurfit Business School would be able to support you once you are there. So as a first point of contact, I will share my contact details later on in the session. But just a very quick introduction of UCD, because I'm not too sure if some of you have already started looking up where you will be studying, what are the main things that are around there. So if you have not, then this is actually a very good time to start while you are waiting for maybe your scholarship decision. Some of you are preparing IELTS. So there's still quite some time before you actually start committing to it, or I'm not too sure if you have already committed to it. Then you probably want to learn a bit more of life in Ireland, life in UCD. So that's why we have run this session. But even if, for example, you have any further questions after this, so we'll have a Q&A session, and we will also be more than happy to receive emails from you, questions directed to IDP, and IDP will be more than happy to support you as well before your journey over to Ireland. So this is the two campuses at UCD. So main Belfield campus for if you are doing a bachelor program, a foundation program, a master program, a PhD, or if you are be doing a postgraduate business program, so like a master in management, MBA, whatsoever business program on a master level, then you'll be based on the Blackrock campus, which is the one on the right-hand side here. So those are the two main campuses. They're actually not too far apart. You are looking at roughly 20 minutes away by bus. There is a direct bus over the two campuses. Or if you do cycle, you just get a bike and just cycle between them. It's like there's actually no need for you to travel between the two campuses. The only main reason people will travel is if you, for example, join a student society or sports club, and you are based in the Blackrock campus, then you will need to travel over to the main Belfield campus for facility-wise, for activity-wise. But if not, both campuses are equally self-sufficient. There's on-campus accommodation available on both campuses, as well as the facilities relevant to the program that you are doing is actually allocated across both campuses. Student center, the gym, so you have both of them in the both campuses as well. So in a lot of times, you don't really need to travel both of that. You need to travel, don't really need to travel between both of them. All right. Moving on, just some of the quick facts that you probably want to also try it out once you are on campus. So UCD, our campus is actually one of Europe's largest urban campus, in the sense that there's a lot of green space and open space for you to roam and explore. So I won't say what thing you can find on UCD campus. It's something for you to explore and find out yourself once you are there. So a lot of students probably in the first week, if you arrive early, you probably want to walk around campus to learn about what is available, what are the facilities on it, and then some of the research centers, and then where everything is, the cafes, the food, whatsoever. You probably want to take a bit of time to explore the campus a bit. That's why I normally advise students to arrive slightly earlier, not like when, for example, your classes start in, I'm not too sure, like that, because we don't really have the term date calendar announced yet at this point. So we will slowly announce the confirmed dates later on. So you don't need to worry too much about it yet. So at the moment, you can refer to a term calendar that we actually have online, but it's a very tentative date, or you refer to your offer letter. We also did mention the commencement date. But don't worry about it. Nearer to the date, around July, August, we will actually start advising in terms of what is the actual orientation date, the actual activity dates, those type of nitty-gritty type of things. But for now, you generally already can get the basic information in terms of orientation, roughly when it will be, when your class will start. If you will be studying on the Smurfit campus or a Smurfit program, just to note that usually you are required to arrive slightly earlier, because Smurfit, they have their own career-related activities that they normally start a bit earlier than the actual program. So it's very important that you arrive early, especially if you are doing a Smurfit program. So normally a lot of the students will start arriving even early August or even mid of August, just so that you actually give yourself enough time to settle down, then join the orientation of your related programs. So for some of you all who have maybe logged on to your Student Welcome Hub as well, you can actually go on to the Student Welcome Hub. So there will be a lot of information available on your Student Welcome Hub in terms of like orientation date, program orientation dates, what to do next after receiving an offer, visa-related information, I believe Hong An will be able to support you. But probably if you want to also learn about what is the process, what you need to know in advance, what is the expectation, those type of things, you would really want to start reading them already from now. Because UCD, we will provide a lot of support in terms of things like orientation. There will be webinars around it. Even before you arrive, the pre-departure related series. Some of you all maybe already joined it before, the Follow Me to UCD, the webinar series for offer holders. So we will provide a lot of all these things, and even our staff over in Dublin, some of the program professors, they sometimes will also run individual offer holder sessions based on your program as well. So you check your email. If there's any of those sessions, usually they will announce it through your email. So for now, after you have received your offer, my first piece of advice to you all is to check your email regularly, even your spam mailbox, because I'm not too sure what is your email setting. Sometimes emails do fall into spam or junk mailbox. So you just probably want to double check and make sure that you don't miss any important emails, especially around accommodation, around offer holder sessions, around orientation date, or even networking. Sometimes they will run networking sessions as well. So those are the things you definitely do not want to miss. But as I mentioned, a lot of things for you to take in already. So just for you to look at the UCD campus at the moment before we move on to some of the facilities that we have. So those are the facilities that we have if you start thinking about what you want to do on campus. So those are the things that are available. I will just go very briefly through them. I won't talk about each of them. So these are for you to see, and you probably want to spend some time to explore around them. And then some of the basic UCD things as well, quick facts. So for some of you all, I'm not too sure the aim of you studying abroad. Some of you all probably are looking at working abroad, and some of you are probably looking to research. So different type of students can gain different type of things if they are studying in Ireland or in UCD. So if you are looking more towards research, generally UCD is a very research-driven university in the sense that all of the professors that are teaching you are also current researchers in the field. So you probably also want to start connecting with your professors, because if you are looking to go on to do a research master, a PhD in the future, a lot of them will be potential supervisor to yourself. If you are looking to go over to Ireland for work, career advancement, career aspiration, definitely connect with our career network. So our career network, or even your program coordinator, they are your main resources in terms of advice of the job market in Ireland, how to start, where to start. So those are the things I would already advise you to start looking into it, because it's all available to you on your Student Welcome Hub already, or even on the website already. So you just probably need to sit down properly and start reading those information that is available online that we have provided to you through your Student Welcome Hub. And then some of the things like the facilities, I cannot stress enough, that it's available there, but a facility is just a facility if you don't use it. So definitely use the opportunity to use those facilities once you're on campus, because they are generally, most of them, open to students. Sometimes, probably some of them is you need a small fee around it, but it's normally a discounted fee, or a lot of the facilities are actually free for students based on the program that you are studying. So definitely find out and know what are the facilities that you can access to, or any of the resources that are available on campus that you can actually utilize as well. So those are the things I would advise to students. So I'll skip this part. Probably you heard a lot about UCD in terms of our international outlook as well. So UCD, another very important thing when you are studying on UCD is not only the part where you are doing your academic part. I also highly recommend students to join a lot of the networking session, the connect with the other students, the Facebook pages, some of the sessions that we run as well. So I highly recommend students to actually join those, because when you are doing a postgraduate program, or even if you're doing an undergraduate program in abroad, the most important thing is knowing people or meeting new people, because these people will potentially become someone in your network that probably you want to reach out to in the future. They may be your future colleagues, they may be your future boss. You never know. So definitely use those opportunity of connecting with someone, even if you already start having a LinkedIn profile already, or you haven't looked into a LinkedIn profile. You probably want to start looking into that as well, because in Ireland, LinkedIn is huge. Even when you join the Smurfit school, the first thing that probably they will ask you is, okay, you probably want to start creating a LinkedIn profile already. So there will be support in terms of guiding students on how to best structure your LinkedIn profile or how to maximize in terms of what you have in terms of your skills and how you can present that to help boost your CV type of thing around LinkedIn. So those are the things that's a lot of our career development related things that they will go through during orientation, or either if you actually approach our career office. So definitely you want to start looking into that if you want to maximize your chances staying back and then also working in Ireland in the future. Some of you all, if you all are at a younger age, undergraduate, probably you want to look into exchange. So exchange wise, there is exchange to other countries that is not in the EU. But if you're looking to exchange in the EU, we also are on the Erasmus program as well. So those also present as very good opportunity if you are looking to study abroad or exchange. But this is normally more relatable to bachelor level student. Postgraduate level, you can look into research exchange, you can look into conference, those type of things, which is quite different in terms of profile. But those are the things that you can actually discuss with your professor as you progress within the program itself. So another very important thing is the mentor network on the bottom right here. So UCD, we have a very strong peer mentor network. So you can actually go on to your UCD student welcome hub as well. There's the uni buddy. There's a connect to current student function on your student welcome hub. So utilize those functions that are available and you can access to so that it kickstarts or either give you a head start in comparison to some students who probably just don't read through student welcome hub. So those are the things I highly recommend you to do in the meantime. Sometimes students, after they receive the offer, they will think that, okay, I actually still have a lot of time until I wait for my scholarship decision, or I'm still waiting on a lot of documents, waiting for visa decision. I'm not too sure what you're waiting for, English results decision. So you probably will be waiting for a lot of things. So what you can do while you're waiting is actually start reading proper information on the website, because we highly recommend students to have that independence and that proactiveness when they are studying abroad, because you are considered adult already in comparison to when you just finish high school or whatsoever. A lot of information are probably spoon-fed to you. But when we consider you an adult, we do expect you to have some independence and some proactiveness in terms of looking for the information that is relevant to yourself. That's why UCD, we are here to support you, but you still need to approach us to ask for those information if you are unclear of or if you can't find them online. But generally, we already have all the supports in place. You just need to approach us if you have any questions. Okay. So some of the research network, you can look into that if you are interested in research or looking to go on to do a PhD, those sort of things. So this is where your funding for scholarships or either your research will be available. So just a hint for you there. These are some things you also probably want to look into if you are doing a professional program like engineering, architecture. Some of you are probably science related, some of you are probably law related. So you probably want to look into them in terms of accreditation and how to register in the relevant countries that you want to work in as well, or what is the condition in terms of registering in the different countries. So these are the things that would be relevant to you then. Okay. So this type of student society, sports club type of thing, you can join them at your own leisure based on how it works with your timetable. International Student Society, they provide very good support in terms of helping international students to assimilate into the community in UCD, as in to actually meet people, because when you're an international student joining UCD, generally you can be quite lost, especially if you are not familiar or haven't studied abroad in the past before, or it's your first time in the English speaking environment. So it can be quite scary, but the International Student Society is a very good start for students like this, because International Student Society are students coming from everywhere around the world. So a lot of them probably is like yourself, coming from a country that doesn't speak English as first language. In that case, it helps you to actually build friendship, to learn about Ireland, or even learn about in terms of how to do things in Ireland that can be quite different from where you are from as well. So it's a very good start for some of you all who maybe haven't studied abroad before in the past. So this is our colleges and schools. You don't need to remember all of them. Just remember whatever is relevant to yourself. But just so that you know, UCD is a huge university, so there's a lot of faculty campus. And if you are looking into research, research nowadays is very interdisciplinary in a sense that it brings in together a lot of different areas of study already. So if you are looking to do research, probably you also want to start looking at what you are interested in, because some research collaboration can cross different schools and colleges. So just a hint or just a tip for you all, for some of you all who are interested in research, to also look into the relevant research centers that probably may not be under your school or your college, because it may be actually put under a different school or different college, but it may be relevant to what you want to research on. So it's also something that you can talk with your professor. They would be able to provide you with more insights in terms of what would be more suitable or what would be possible in terms of opportunity for you when you are studying in UCD. So career development, so this is our main thing in terms of UCD as well, in terms of preparing you after you have completed your study, or even when you are studying in UCD, how to bridge you over to the workforce, because there's also a very main thing in UCD. So Career Development Center is a very good facility or very good resource that you can utilize once you're on campus. Any questions, you can reach out to them. They can actually provide you in terms of the information to where to start. But of course, a lot of the groundwork you are expected to do it, like going for the actual interviews, putting out your CV out there. Those type of things you are still expected to do. They won't help you in terms of like sending out CVs for you. You still need to send your own CVs, but they can give you the recommendation in terms of how to structure your CV, or even how to present your past experience or academic achievement, or in terms of bridging you to the workplace. Because sometimes you may not know that you are actually really strong in something, but probably what you are falling short is in terms of presenting that information on your CV or on your LinkedIn profile. So they can actually help to like see it from an outside perspective, from a company perspective, how it works better for you. So you probably also want to book appointments with your career development center as well, or each of the individual school and colleges, they will also run related career activities as well, that you probably also want to check in terms of your email. They will send out usually this type of announcement, newsletter type of thing that you want to register and subscribe to. So you get updated with all of this information once it's available. Sorry about that. Okay, last part, social media platform. So social media platform is also another very good information place where you can get all of the relevant information. So depending on what social media platform that you are using, unfortunately, our social media platform, they may be posting different information based on the platform, and schools, not all of the schools are on all of the platforms. Some schools are only on specific platforms. So you probably want to also look at what the schools, which platform that the schools are actually more active on, because like based on my knowledge, the College of Science, they're actually more active on Twitter. Social Science is actually more active on YouTube, if I'm not wrong. So you probably want to just like check and see what works better for the program that you're studying and yourself, what works better for you. But generally, we are on most of the social media platform. It's just that the individual schools and colleges, they probably won't utilize all of them. So you probably want to double check that from your perspective also. Right, so this is my contact detail that I'm sharing with you. Any questions, I normally advise you to go to our main general mailbox first. But if you have a very specific question, urgent, or probably if like very emergency thing, then I will ask you to straight away email me directly. But if not, if it's something that can be wait, not really urgent, send it through the student inquiries, the Southeast Asia at uca.ie. And then I have also provided some of the testimonials here. I will share this presentation with Hong An also, so she can share it with you all. So you all can actually start looking into our testimonial from our previous student. So some of them, they are still studying in UCD. Some of them are probably alumni already. So you also want to see like what is their career progression pathway. If, for example, you want to link up with them, some of them do provide their contact details on LinkedIn. So some of them have left their contact details in the relevant pages as well. So you probably want to reach out to them depending on your own. So opening the floor now to Hong An. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's very useful to for you to provide students with the information about UCD. And I think we have you now. So we will ask many questions as
Feel free to do so.
I just we have a question in the chat box.
I already see a scholarship question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so GES, I can let you know we have just finished the shortlisting. So now it gets sent over to the scholarship committee this week for them to meet. So the scholarship committee meeting is around the 22nd, if I'm not wrong, the 22nd of this month. So after the 22nd of this month, around a week time later, then they will finalize the decision for the scholarship. So if there is no further delay, probably you will receive the decision of the Global Excellence Scholarship end of this month or either early May. So for some of you all who probably your offer acceptance deadline, if it's coming up before this type of time, you probably want to reach out to us. So just to let you all know, at the moment for the Smurfit Business School, because of the competitiveness of the program, unfortunately, they are not extending acceptance deadline. So if you are sure that you want to accept your offer, I highly recommend you to accept the offer and pay the deposit if you are doing a Smurfit Business School program. For the other programs, it depends on individual availability. If you are unsure, definitely drop us an email. The two email address that I provided there as well. Southeast Asia, either my email address, you can just drop me an email, of course, quoting your student application number or even your student ID number, and also the reason that you are requesting for the extension. And we will need to send it over to the school for them to review to see if they would be happy to extend or not. If the school is happy to extend, then we will come back and confirm with you. So if your acceptance deadline is coming out these few weeks, definitely reach out to us. Like, don't wait until like tomorrow is the deadline of your acceptance, and then you only reach out to us the same day, because sometimes there's email back and forth between the school and us.
Yeah.
It's not an instant process, so make sure you reach out to us as early as possible if you are sure that you need an extension. And then how many in total? So I can tell you because I just done the shortlisting. So how many this year? So we are looking at roughly around 2 places for 100% and around 8 places for 50%. So the competition this year, honestly speaking, it's very tough. Like there's a lot of good applicants this year, and it took us quite a long time just to do shortlisting because everyone's just so good and we only have that amount of award. So after the scholarship committee meeting, it really depends on what comes out from that discussion, because sometimes if they feel that there's just so many, like because this year there's just so many good applicants, they may choose to increase the number of scholarship that they would award, or some of the schools, they probably will just give a college or school level scholarship, but then nothing is on stone yet, so meaning that nothing is confirmed yet. So we will still need to wait for the scholarship committee to actually meet first, discuss, and then make a decision. Then we can only confirm how many total places. But based on what I have been seeing in terms of shortlisting, we are sticking with 200% and 50%. Okay?
Thank you so much. And I can see that you still run the 50% scholarship run by Smurfit Business School.
Yeah, so Smurfit actually have their own range of scholarship. Some of them, the maximum amount they actually go is up to 50% for their own school level scholarship, but there's also smaller amount scholarship, like 25% one, or a few thousand type of scholarship that you probably want to double check on the Smurfit Business School website, because their scholarship actually don't really follow our GS application timeline or the deadline as well. Some of them are slightly later. So you probably want to double check and see what is the terms and conditions in terms of applying for those scholarships. So let me share my page again. I'll just bring you over to the Smurfit website so that we can have a look at very quickly, because it's actually here for Smurfit though.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right, okay. Let me share my page. Okay, so Smurfit Scholarship website, if you go on to smurfitschool.ie, go under admission scholarship. So this is the page that you'll be looking at. So depending on what program that you are doing, either MBA, MSc. MSc is for all of the other business program. Okay, so I will recommend you to press international, and then you can choose open or opening soon. Or if you don't want to select them, you just choose all of them. And then really depends on your current situation. Some of them, if you're doing MBA, so this might be relevant to you. If you are looking at GMAT, so some students, if you are doing finance program, you probably need to provide GMAT, or MBA, you also need to provide GMAT. So those are the scholarship that you can look at. We also have another academic excellence scholarship. So this one is 25 to 50% for most of the MSc programs, but you probably want to check what is the terms and condition, what is the deadline. Specific programs under SMRFIT will have specific scholarship. Like this is marketing and retail innovation. So this program itself have a 5,000 bursary. So you also want to probably check what is the requirement. This is currently open. And then merit-based scholarship. Yeah, so this is also another one that you can consider, but you need to check the terms and condition because it really depends on your program that you're applying to and also your GPA, what it is. We have one specifically for Vietnamese student also. So this is also one that you can look into. This 50% tuition fees scholarship. So this one is 1st of May. And then like supply chain has its own scholarship. Accounting and financial management has its own also. And then there is some like memorial scholarship that is related to specific terms and conditions also. So you also want to look into that, or even women in MBA. So those are the things that you probably want to look into that. So take some time, start reading if you want to have a backup plan in case you don't get the GS scholarship. So that is another place that you can start looking in terms of scholarship as well.
Yeah, many other scholarship opportunities.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I have one question from my college. Like, can you please help to share a typical profile like GPA or IELTS that can help students to will benefit up to 50% scholarship for Vietnamese students?
Okay, so it's really hard to tell because every year, the profile can be very different, especially if you are looking at a SMRFIT program. Because SMRFIT program, because of the diversity of the student that we are receiving, not only nationality, I'm talking about like age group, experience presented, background presented. There's just like so much diversity in it, in the sense that it's actually quite difficult for me to share a typical profile because this year typical profile could be like this, but next year it's totally different type of candidate type of thing. But usually it's a combination of GPA, academic, but academic can be quite broad. Sometimes it's not purely just based on GPA. We are also looking at probably like what type of background in terms of like what study background that you have presented. If, for example, you have like working experience, then your working experience profile is something that we'll consider. For some students who are maybe not on the working path, they are looking down at the research path. Then in that case, like what type of publication that you have been presenting, or what type of conference or either research collaboration that you have actually done before. If, for example, you are not research and not working profile, a fresh grad, okay, then fresh grad wise, could be we are looking at leadership related profile, and then like what type of extra curriculum that you have done. So it can be very diverse. I say that we don't really have like one typical profile because every year the candidate that we are choosing is actually very diverse. But maybe another part that you can actually look into is I remember there was a section in SMRFIT that actually had like alumni videos. Probably that is somewhere that you can start. Okay, there you go. Found it. Let me share my screen again. Right, so if you go under SMRFIT website, under the SMRFIT experience, alumni story, our students, those are places that you want to start. Under alumni story, we do have international alumni story, MSc story. So if you actually go under those, do this. Okay, so international alumni story. So these are some of the profile. Click into that. They give you a quick testimonial from our student. So probably this is somewhere you want to start. And then if you are looking at like MSc student profile, so these are also some of our previous scholarship awardee some of the notable alumni. There's some videos available here as well. So you also probably want to look into that webinar. Okay, so those are the things that you want to look into. So each of the students here, roughly to give you a sense of what is the profile, the video gallery itself. We do have some of the GES scholarship students or either the Smurfit scholarship students, their interview, their testimonial, how they progress, their progression pathway, their career progression, those type of things as well. So those are probably places that if you want to start in terms of looking at the profile of a typical Smurfit student, which is just so broad. Yeah, but it's somewhere that you can actually start in that regards then. Okay?
Okay. Thank you very much. Did you have any questions for Apple?
All right, the next one.
Can I have a question?
Yes, sure.
Hi Apple, how are you? I just have a
Hello.
question regarding my my application. So I did deposit for the Master of Finance earlier this April, but if I go into my applications on UCD portal, the application status is still conditional accept. Would that be
All
converted to an unconditional acceptance, or would this
All
just
right,
be?
so conditional accept, there is a few reasons it's a conditional accept. Sometimes not just the deposit. So have you checked your offer letter? Is it conditioned on maybe submitting your final result or English? Or do you have a
For the
student
checklist?
number? If you don't mind, actually private send it over to myself or Hong An, and then I can help you check now.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm checking on the IDP agent portal. Let's see if any condition.
Yeah, so you probably want to double check because conditional offer sometimes, actually most of the time is actually not because of deposit. UCD, we only issue a conditional offer. Usually is based on like maybe final results, English test, or because you mentioned finance, maybe GMAT result, I'm not too sure. So I probably need
Oh
to
no,
check your offer letter first.
I checked everything. So on the conditions, they just state one condition only, that the deposit must be handed before the 5th of April. And I did that on the 3rd already, so that's cleared. So the
Okay,
checklist items, including payment outstanding, that's on the portal already set 0. So I don't know why it took like, so my agent, I don't know if he told you before, but another case that he had with another student was that it would take about 7 working days for it to change the status, but for me it's over 10 days already, so I don't know what's happening.
True.
Um,
Let me just
yeah,
check that
I'll
now.
shoot you, yeah, I'll shoot you a message.
Yeah, I already have your application ID. 1 second, I'm
Oh,
just going
nice.
on to the portal
Thank you.
and checking that now.
Yeah, I think no condition are standing now, but the status is still conditional accept. So is it normally after the student pays the deposit and then the status can change to unconditional offer?
Because it's usually quite rare for us to put a condition on the deposit because deposit is as part of you accepting the offer. It's not exactly a condition per se, but because this offer was actually issued by the Smurfit school, so I will probably also need to check with the Smurfit school, like the reason of the condition of the offer. But let me just double check to see if nothing was missed before I actually reach out to the Seems to be actually just the deposit. Do you have the payment receipt? Do you mind sending me an email after this with your payment receipt? Then I will need to send it over to the Smurfit school for them to check. So sometimes it may be reflecting on your system already, but probably their finance didn't receive it yet. So I need to check with them. Oh, you sent to me earlier
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
Okay.
I sent to my agent, Tunang, and then the
Oh,
agent
all
already
right.
sent to you already, I think.
Yeah, yes, correct. So
Yeah.
let me just check. Hopefully I received that because I was in I am in Vietnam at the moment, but over in Ho Chi Minh City, and because I'm traveling, I'm not really actively checking my mailbox.
Yeah, no worries.
So I'll get back to you around Monday, Tuesday, and see what
Yeah,
is the thing with the student. Thanks a lot for raising
yeah.
this.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
You, Ian.
Oh yeah, can I have just one more questions regarding the accommodation?
Mm-hmm.
Since I've been following UCD on Reddit and
Okay.
there's a lot of questions regarding there's a lot of panic students area the concerning about accommodation. So I was just wondering if you have a reserved slot for international student who's coming over on your accommodations on campus, or like apart from on campus, is there any choices off campus that the university can actually support to find?
So for this year, for Smurfit student, I normally advise you all to prioritize on campus first because Smurfit have their own on-campus accommodation, but of course depending on your budget as well. Because honestly speaking, studying or staying on campus at UCD, in terms of the on-campus accommodation, usually it's quite expensive in comparison to private accommodation, especially if you are looking at private accommodation in terms of like share room, share house. So those are actually cheaper than UCD on-campus accommodation because UCD on-campus accommodation are apartment style, like single bedroom type of thing. So that's why it usually costs more expensive. So if you can get an on-campus accommodation and it's within your budget, my advice is to go for it because that is your easiest way, especially if you're staying on campus. Then just staying on the Blackrock residence hall, that is the easiest thing. You don't really need to commute type of thing. If not within your budget, and probably if you actually approach them now and they say that, okay, on-campus accommodation is gone already. I'm not too sure for Smurfit, but on the main Bellevue campus, because I also do speak a lot with our accommodation support team over in the main campus one. So for main campus one, the postgraduate accommodation, generally it's almost closed already because there's not a lot left. Um, for for the priority that we are giving at the moment is only to bachelor level international students. But Smurfit one, you probably want to check with Smurfit first to see if there's any availability. If not, then you need to start looking at off-campus accommodation. Off-campus accommodation, last time UCD do work with private accommodation providers like student apartments outside. But because student apartment, the competition can be quite high as well. And because student apartment, there's a lot of like dispute between costs and charges type of thing. So we at the moment UCD is not working with any student apartments outside UCD. So we don't really have a specific partner that you can speak with, but we have actually provided the relevant links and the accommodation booking or rental websites on the UCD residents website. So let me show you the website per se. There's a section on the off-campus accommodation and even a UCD accommodation tab that you actually can look into in terms of off-campus accommodation. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so if you actually go to uc.ie/residents, so this is the residence page. If you go under booking information, that's off-campus student. So off-campus student UCD accommodation pad is probably the first part that you want to start looking into for a bit more secure type of off-campus accommodation. A lot of them are probably landlords that we actually have worked with in the past. So some of them are probably even like staff who knows people who are actually renting out type of thing. So it's a bit more secure, but then of course still at your own risk. You need to be very careful in terms of accommodation scam. It's one thing I would advise international students if you are looking to book for off-campus accommodation, because it's increasing concern at the moment in recent years, especially because of demand of accommodation has been quite high in Dublin, that we are actually seeing increasing number of cases around accommodation scam. So you probably want to make sure that you double check the unit first. That's why also another reason why we advise students to arrive slightly earlier than actual orientation or the actual program, is so that you actually give yourself a bit time to actually start looking at some of the accommodation. Because some of the accommodation, they probably will only rent out to you if you are in Ireland or Dublin in person. And they also want to make sure that they maybe speak with you or interview you before they actually rent out the accommodation to you as well. So you probably also want to consider that option as well if you will be booking very last minute. But I never advise students book last minute, because there's a lot of stress in terms of booking last minute. So you want to start early. Now is actually a very good time, because now is starting to go into the summer semester. So summer in Ireland is usually around April, May, which is actually the peak period where students will start moving off campus or moving outside their current accommodation. Because it's the time where semester, especially for undergraduate students, that is when their semester ends. Before they start the next year, they have a one whole semester of summer holiday, where it's like 3 to 4 months type of thing. So a lot of students will be actually moving out from their current accommodation around this type of timing. So it's actually a very good time for you to actually start looking at accommodation, or even familiarize yourself with what is the market value of different type of accommodation. So we also do provide like some links in terms of, if you're not looking at UCD accommodation pad, so some of the private renter website, and also some of the supports around it, like DAF.ie is one. UCD Student Union, there's accommodation page as well. Some of them are like host family, also those type of links that is available. So also depending on what is the type of accommodation that you expect, what is your budget. We also do have like some of the information I will share with students later on as well. We also do have another like document per se in terms of advising students, like probably what area in Dublin you can consider, like it's near to the bus lane or near to the train line, those type of things that is slightly further away, because sometimes students, they are on a tight budget. In that case, they probably will be looking to stay slightly further away and then commute in, because commuting in Dublin is not expensive. Usually there is a maximum cap per week on the student travel card, which is around €20 maximum per week. So if you utilize that, and if you commute from far away in, no matter how far it is, the maximum amount that you'll be paying for that week is €20 anyway. So that's why some students will choose to stay further and commute in. But another thing I normally advise students is, yes, commuting is cheap, but if you need to take 2 hours in and 2 hours out every day, it's not worth it. So it's going to give you a very huge toll on your mental health as well, and it makes you very physically fatigued as well, commuting that long hours. So it's not recommended as well. But for some students, it works probably because if they are doing something like the last semester, they don't really need to go into campus that often. Probably 1 week, you only need to go in 2 days. And it's nearer to where they are working, or it's nearer to where they are doing their research. So it works for them. So it really depends on your needs. So you need to also consider and factor in that thing as well in terms of commuting time. So the further you stay away from UCD is of course cheaper, but how much time you are willing to spend in terms of commuting is also another very important factor that you want to consider. So let me see where you can get that document. It used to be here.
Oh yeah, I did browse all of these links before. Do you have like the range of rent per month over there?
Yes. So for that, you can actually go on to which website? I remember one of the website actually do range, like if you're looking at a single bedroom, roughly how much to how much type of thing. If you are looking at a share room, then how much to how much, and then depending on if you're looking at North Dublin, South Dublin, which like Dublin 3, Dublin 4, Dublin 7, those type of thing, each may have different range about as well. Let me just find that for you. Oh yeah, UCD SU website. So student union website. So these are some of the tips, the private rental, the different type of accommodation as well. That is roughly what you are looking at. And then also some of the policy related know your own rights type of thing that I advise students to have a look as well, because you never know, you probably get a good landlord, you get a bad landlord, it's still people at the end of the day. There's good people and bad people. So make sure you know what your rights are. If you are actually renting outside, there is like this type of private purpose built. So these are the student apartments that I was talking about. Some of the advice, good locations around UCD. So if you walk, then this area is actually walkable. If you cycle, foot, skateboard, up to you. But if you are doing any scooting, cycling, skateboard, make sure you have your protective gears in place. Don't want you to get into any accidents when you are there. Medical charge can be quite expensive if you're an international student, even though you have your private health insurance covering most of it, but you don't really want to spend an extra time there in the hospital. So those are the areas that you can consider. Public transport wise, there is also some recommendations around that. These are some of the things that you can also look into, your rights type of thing. So nearer to next month or so, they will start providing a bit more information, updated information. So you can also start looking into that as well. Threshold is also another very good place that you can actually look into. Like they are actually an organization that helps in terms of if you do come into any trouble with your landlord or any contract related things in terms of your accommodation, they are the one that will be able to provide you the relevant advice and support. So it's also another very important organization that you probably also want to start looking into. And then residents, you can also contact residents for some of the things, but residents, they are very swamped with email since last month, I would say. So do expect a longer reply in terms of their reply frequency, because they're just so swamped with residents related emails at the moment. And then accommodation website. So these are some of them. Short-term one, like I mentioned, if you want to go there slightly a bit earlier to actually view the property before confirming them, or if you want to like sometimes meet the actual landlord per se, I always advise to actually book like either a Zoom meeting with your landlord, or actually, if possible, view the actual unit first before you actually make deposit. But I know that it's not always possible if you are an international student. So sometimes you need to take calculated risks, but make sure you know that there is some signs that it may not be the actual property per se. So like say a scam, probably, if it's too good to be true. If you see some like that unit so nearby to UCD, and the advertisement is like, oh, you get 300 euro for per week, or 300 euro for per month type of thing. It sounds a bit too good to be true. Then you know that probably it's not going to be a real unit. Either you can go onto Google Map, you actually drop a street view and actually see if that at that address is there actually that unit there, those type of thing. Because sometimes like they give you an address, or either they just show you a picture, but when you actually see that unit on Google Map is actually non-existent type of thing as well. So those are some of the things that you can actually cross-check before you actually make the payment of deposit. And make sure that when you are actually paying your deposit, right, it can be quite difficult for the police to do anything if the money is sent to an account that is not in Ireland. So if you have a landlord that say that, oh, I want you to confirm as soon as possible, but now I'm overseas, I'm now in Maldives, for example. So here's my bank account in Maldives. So you put you bank in the money in my bank account in Maldives. It may be also a bit dodgy type of thing. So make sure like these type of things that you feel is a bit okay, it's a bit weird, not right, doesn't sound right, seems to be a red flag type of thing. Then you probably want to make sure that it's actually not um like you want to make sure and double check that it's actually okay. For those type of thing, you can actually send an email to residents as well. Sometimes residents, if it's someone that they know, if they're around the area, they can also help you to guide you as well. Because like last year, we actually did have one case from our region that was a accommodation scam. The money was banked into a account that was not an Irish account. Unfortunately, there's not a lot that the police can do in terms of getting back that money. But our accommodation team did put the student on temporary accommodation until the student actually like went over to Ireland, like properly view a unit and book into it. So we do have some of like a temporary emergency accommodation for international students if you do run into any unforeseen circumstances, but you need to inform us in advance so that we can actually do the planning. Because for that student, she was actually like very last minute. She arrived in Ireland already and she didn't like she went to the address and there wasn't a unit there at all. So that's why she like, it was a very emergency and urgent case that they should have booked her in a temporary accommodation very last minute. So you need to let us know in advance, or even if possible, once something happened wrong, let us know in advance so that we can see how we can. So those are the things that you want to also look into as well in terms of the links. So did it help to answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. That's a lot of helpful information.
No problem. Any further questions? Okay, so if there's no more questions, then probably let me share another page that probably will be very useful for you all as well. So if you go on to UCD Career Network, so it's ucd.ie/career, the homepage, and then you can go over to the student section. So under the student section, you can actually see a range of different support careers related things from career guides. You can actually start looking to these type of things like even make appointment in advance, or even you want to let us know this quick survey. It will slowly then guide you and see what thing is more suitable for you at the current stage. But the career guide is actually a very good place to start in terms of looking through, because this is actually updated every year. So at the moment, they have it updated until 2023. So based on what program that you are doing, so like arts and humanities, business, you can actually go on to the career guide and roughly see what is the process in terms of planning your career in Ireland. So we do talk about everything from where to start, what are the websites to actually look into, like the key dates that you want to look into. Of course, the key dates won't be exact dates yet because this is based on previous year. But then you can roughly see what type of activities that are available roughly around when of the year that you want to start booking them around your calendars as well. And then some of the resources, the networks, the connections that you can utilize when you are in UCD. And then also what are the opportunities, like there's a whole CV checklist type of thing that you want to also have a look. And then interview tips as well in terms of the related schools and programs that you're doing. Social media, LinkedIn, the very important thing that I mentioned just now. So those are things that you also want to look into that. And then there is also some of the statistics related to like salary guide, what are the companies, those type of thing. You also want to look into that. And then also, there you go, some of the FAQ. If you are not looking at particular programs, where you can go, those type of thing, based on our student feedback previous years, and then some of the career profiles as well, the Smurfit Career Network. So those are the things that you can also look into. So each program will have their own type of thing, like engineering, architecture, health, agriculture, science, for example, social science, law. So you want to actually start going to the website and start reading it because the document is like 40 to 50 pages long. So it's quite a read that you also want to look into it. A few more things, like this is actually your student welcome portal. So don't mind the name. It's a mock portal. It's not a real student. So it's just one for us to demo for you all. So if you actually go on to your student welcome hub, so you go on to your UCD application portal, which will then bring you to there's a part called like student, and then you click into it, it's your welcome hub. So these are the social media platforms on the right-hand side, your fee, your payment, your program structure, registration. Once it's around August, then you will have a bit more information over here. But at the moment, don't worry about registration. And then some of the coming to Ireland. So this is where you start in terms of like accommodation, orientation, visa, student support, scholarship, student block, those type of things, working in Ireland if you are looking to do a part-time job, UCD welcome guide, living cost. So like another thing, you probably want to budget as well, like living costs, not only accommodation, like food, travel, leisure activities, textbook, those type of things. You also want to look into them. So travel costs, we have the breakdown over there. So another very interesting thing that you can do is if you want to fully experience or fully utilize your time when you are studying in Ireland, you can consider the Destination Ireland module, which is a module that was developed by our social science school, which actually helps students to understand Ireland a bit more. Also recommend some of the travel places around Ireland. So they call me to promote it a bit for them. So there you go, the Destination Ireland module. So you can actually try it out. It's not really a very long online thing that you can do, around half an hour, 15 minutes to half an hour type of thing. But it gives you a bit more insight of like Irish culture, Irish like a bit of the Irish destination that you can actually visit when you are there. And a few things that you can also look into, like pre-arrival checklist, accommodation information. So that is also where you can actually look up a lot of the things that I was showing just now, UCD student accommodation and UCD accommodation, like student accommodation in Dublin, those type of things. And then also very important thing, the visa part. So the visa part, you can read out the information here. But one thing I also advise students to do, especially if you are a visa required student, to update your visa status. So you need to provide your visa application number and also update us with your visa application status, because nearing to August, we will also follow up and also check with students in the sense that if, for example, you have submitted your visa for almost 6 to 8 weeks and above, but have not received any decision, we do have an immigration support team as well. And it's easier for them to follow up with the embassy directly if there's a whole group of students rather than 1 or 2 students only. So it's best for you to update your visa status once you start your visa application process and you do have your visa application number already, then update it and let us know. Okay, so some of the videos down here, you can also look into it, Career Network, the website that I showed you just now, go on to that, Unibuddy, UCD alumni, connect with other UCD students. So those are the things you can use in terms of networking. So those are generally most of the things you can already find, or most of the things that I was already showing you just now already. So very important, start logging into your UCD Student Welcome Hub if you have not already done so. That will be my first advice or most important advice for you today.
And I have another question about like how UCD can support a student during their stay-back visa after graduation.
Okay, so not even UCD, so like the stay-back visa in Ireland, right, is generally just automated. So once you complete the program, right, you can just bring there's a completion letter or type of thing that you can bring over to the immigration, and you don't even need to bring it to the immigration because nowadays it's all done online already. So you can just do it online, actually, providing the certificate of completion from UCD, and then it automatically changes it over to the graduate stay-back visa. So you don't really need like a lot of support from our end because everything is just a process that you just do online, and then it's automated and given to you already. So it's just that you can actually start looking in terms of how to go about it, like where to get like the certificate of completion, which I'm pretty sure you can just download it online once you completed the program. And then when to do it will depend on when is your IRP expiry date. But don't worry too much about it because in Ireland, we do have like specific deadlines per se, but we are not exactly too strict on in terms of like the IRP expiry date, because we do give and take type of thing. Sometimes students, they try to book appointment, but then probably all appointments are full. If you can get an early appointment, of course, that would be the best. But we also understand that sometimes students, they try and then it's a big period of time, they can't book specific appointments as well. So you don't need to worry too much about it. try your best in terms of booking. If you really try, really cannot get it, immigration support is on campus. You can always reach out to them. They will also advise you in terms of what availability, and sometimes they will also help to secure additional slots specifically just for UCD students as well. So it's totally possible. But of course, we want to see that you actually make an effort in terms of trying, not that you didn't do anything and then suddenly like say that, oh, 90 days has passed and now my thing is expired. Like how do I go about that thing? We still want you to actually go through the process, say. Just trust the process that you are going in will be it. Okay?
Okay. Any other questions?
I see a hand raised here.
Yes, I want to ask,
Yes?
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, following your explanations about how to renew the registrations in Ireland. So, what is the exactly date that the student have to renew their IRP? You mentioned that it depends on the expiry date of the current IRP. So it means that we just need to book an appointment in order to renew the IRP before the expiry date, or we have to get the new IRP before the expiry date.
So if I'm not wrong, you don't really need to book an appointment to renew your IRP anymore. Nowadays, the renewal of the IRP is actually just done online. It's just that the first time registration of the IRP, because you need to provide your biometrics, you need to provide the relevant documents. That's why you still need to book an appointment to actually go to the immigration office to do the actual process. Then you need to pay the fee type of thing. But for the renewal part, generally it's just done online. And then because when they are doing the IRP once they arrive, right? So it really depends on when they can book the appointment of the IRP. The most difficult thing in terms of IRP registration really is just booking the appointment with the immigration office, because everyone is fighting for the appointment slot. So sometimes students, their IRP start date can start from early August until some of them probably in November to December. So really depends on when they get their IRP. The IRP expiry date differ as well. So if you don't really want to wait until like after expire, then you only renew. You can actually renew in advance. Like once you finish the program, you receive your graduate certificate, you receive a final result, you can generate the certificate of completion already. You can straight away just renew it, and then it's renewed based on your, for example, if your actual expiry date is in November, right? So they will just do 1 year from November type of thing. But then you probably just want to make sure that you have it as a valid, is it in a valid status type of thing, rather than waiting for it to expire, then we go and renew. Because it's still possible, because sometimes if for some of them who maybe come to Ireland early, they book their appointment early in July, August, because some students probably also doing like pre-sessional, then they will arrive earlier, right? So pre-sessional, if they arrive earlier, then most likely they will only receive their final certificate of completion a bit later, because they still need to wait until like July, August, then they will only receive it, right? So then there will be a gap period in the middle where it will expire before they actually renew it. So those cases are totally all right. Our immigration support officer, they are used to those type of things as well. So you just let us know if that is your case to the immigration support office on campus, and they will actually advise you around that. So you don't need to worry too much about it, because sometimes students are just like they get a bit like unsure because it's a formal process, right? So they get like, will I get deported immediately after expiry? It doesn't really work that way. We do give some grace period to students per se, but of course you need to let us know in advance so that we roughly know and roughly we can gauge to see, okay, so if yours will be expiring slightly earlier, then what thing we can advise, what documents or what available support that we can provide to you. But it's usually quite okay, because not all students will have that process. A lot of students, they probably only get their IRP appointment around October or even September type of thing. So it's really okay. Yeah, because they normally get their final results by then already.
Is there any special periods are starting from the next course started and the current IRP? Normally, for example, we want to renew the IRPs in Ireland. Instead, we have to come back to Vietnam. For example, if the student study foundation and then going to the bachelor degree program. So I want to ask about the period date, the gap between the end of the IRP current expiry date and the new course start date. Is there any specific period for the student to clarify whether they can renew the IRPs in Ireland or they have to come back to Vietnam?
Like I mentioned, the renewal of IRP is all done online. So it doesn't really matter where you are, either in Dublin or in Vietnam. But one thing to note is if your IRP is expired, right? So technically, if you travel out of Ireland, you can't get back into Ireland because you need to apply for another travel visa then. Because if the IRP acts as the multi-entry visa for visa required students, so meaning that if you hold a valid IRP, no matter where you travel, for you to enter into Ireland, you just show your IRP. As long as within valid date, you can enter. But if your IRP is expired, right? So when you travel into Ireland, meaning that you need to still present a valid travel visa. So meaning that if your IRP is expired, you can't really show that IRP. But if it's already renewed, then they will be able to see the renew one and you can get it sent to you. Then it wouldn't be a problem then. But we have cases where the student happens to student, especially on bachelor level student. So how they do it is, especially some of them, right? They probably done a language course before they start the actual program. So meaning that their IRP's expiry date is quite middle of the year type of thing. It's those odd timing where it doesn't work with result release. So they choose to also travel to Europe, for example, for summer holiday. Some of the students will do, right? Traveling in summer holiday to another European Union country. Okay, so they travel out, meaning that after that, they can't really enter into Ireland anymore because their IRP is expired. So what they can do is they can only fly back to Vietnam after their tour in Europe. And then after that, they need to renew their IRP, then only travel to Ireland. So it happens in that case before, but it happened like many years ago before when IRP was like before IRP, you can renew that online. So meaning that what happened to that student actually need to do the whole applying for a travel visa again from the Vietnam embassy. And then after that, flying to Ireland. And then they need to do the actual IRP renewal physically in the immigration office because at that time we didn't have the online renewal yet. So it happened before to one of our students, but that was many years ago. Like during COVID, they have changed the renewal process to online. So by far, we actually haven't seen similar case like that before yet. Hope that helps to answer your question.
I still want to know about the gap, because as I mentioned to you, thus we want to know when the student have to come back to Vietnam. Is there any case status like this one?
Because like what gap are you referring to?
The gap between the course end date and the expiry dates of the IRP and the new course start date.
Okay, so IRP usually it's a 1 year validity. So if for example, like, sorry?
Yes, I know that.
Yeah. So for example, like if you start your program in September, right? And then after that, you normally will get an expiry date next September. So in that case, if you apply to another different program that is starting in September, you normally will receive your offer letter or your firm acceptance letter way before that. Like using that firm acceptance offer, you can actually renew your IRP online already. So I'm not too sure like what is the gap that you're looking at if you're looking to go into two different programs per se, but there is not really a gap. So the gap usually only happens like if they went to a language school, because language school, they can start any time in the middle of the year type of thing. So those type of students are a bit more complicated, but once they receive an offer acceptance from a university into a particular master program or bachelor program, like they can just show the offer letter to renew the IRP. Once they accepted the offer, pay the deposit, pay the tuition fee, they can just show that to renew the IRP already. So there's not really a gap anymore, per se.
So I understand that students no need to like come back to Vietnam to extend the IRP, but they can do it online before the IRP expiry date, right?
Correct. Yes. So they can just do it online. So not really a gap anymore. Because the gap only last time happens when you need to physically renew it in Dublin, but you don't really need to physically renew it in Dublin anymore.
Okay. Yeah, we got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Các bạn còn lại không biết là các bạn có câu hỏi gì dành cho cô không nhỉ? Vì thời gian của mình cũng không còn nhiều nên là nếu các bạn có muốn hỏi gì thì mình cứ raise voice để mình hỏi trực tiếp nhé. Okay, I think like no more questions.
All right, good to hear. If you all do like go back, have a read, information-wise, any further questions after that, you can always direct them over to IDP counselors that you are already dealing with. If they can't answer you, they can always reach out to me to seek clarification. I can further send you the information after that. But always reach out to your own current counselor that you're working with first, because some of the questions they probably already know the answer already. And given that they are your closest, geographically approximate type sense that they are closest to you at the moment. So it's easier to reach out to them first. Any questions, you know who to ask them. Okay?
Okay. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
a lot for your time.
Thank you very much for your time. So I think we can close the meeting. And thank you again for attending the session today. And I hope that you can answer many questions of students and have them to make the UCD as their firm choice for September 2024. Okay. So
All right.
thank you. Thank you all and have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.